When you think about aliens, you probably think about little green men or the Greys, which are becoming increasingly well-known, not popular per se. But there are actually quite a lot of alleged alien races. A lot of them. Of course, the universe is vast, and there are a lot of different constellations and galaxies and planets within our universe. So it only makes sense that there's a lot of races to go with that, not just humans or little green men. So today I am going to be going through some of the most well-known alien races. And I'm sorry to disappoint you, but none of these are going to be Martians. If anything, perhaps we were the Martians all along. But these are the ones that are supposedly still living. A lot of them have had contact with Earth. That's how we know about them. Now, obviously, the first race that I'm going to talk to you about today are the Greys. They're the most well-known, since they are believed to be the aliens that were involved with the crash in Roswell, which is how they kind of came into stardom, if you will. There's a lot of talk around whether these are good or bad. I don't believe in those words. For example, humans aren't inherently good or bad. We can be either or, depending on who we are. But they have been known to do a lot of bad things. They're the aliens most associated with abductions, for whatever reason that might be. Some people believe that they need something from humans to help their race thrive, that they just want to experiment on humans, that they're impregnating them, or that, in a slightly more crazier but still kind of believable scenario, that there are actually agreements between the US government and these grey aliens that the Greys will get to experiment on a certain amount of humans, and in return the US government will get the knowledge of some of their technology. The Greys themselves obviously get their name from their grey colour. Some people have actually claimed that this is a suit that they wear. It's just very thin on their skin. But beyond that, they are thought to be grey. They are also said to have huge black eyes. But again, some people have said that the black is a film on their eyes, sort of like a screen or sunglasses maybe, because they have trouble with light. And a lot of people have actually said the same thing, that they don't like light, their eyes can't handle it. And even in the really well-known video of an alien interview, which still has yet to be disproven, that alien is in very low light, because again, they're said to not be able to deal with it very well. These in appearance are also about 3 to 4 feet tall, so quite small. They have very large heads, very thin bodies, and very long, sort of spindly arms and legs. Some people have also claimed, although we have no basis of this, that they have no genitalia, that somehow through their evolution they lost the need for this. We don't know if that's true. Maybe one day we'll find out. Sorry to talk about your genitals if that's rude, where you've come from. The next race I'm going to talk about are also quite famous. These are the reptilians, or the reptoids, which they are sometimes called. These are the ones that people claim have positions of power, such as Barack Obama being a reptilian, or Donald Trump, or the Queen of England, or even sometimes entertainers. People have said that all very well-known Hollywood entertainers are reptiles. Examples of which are Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber. Appearance-wise, these obviously look quite reptile to us. They are green and scaly. They're about 6 to 7 feet tall, so they're quite big. And some people have said that they have red eyes, which are, again, reptile-shaped, the pupil. There's a lot of different stories as to what these guys actually do when it comes to the human race and to Earth. But a common theme seems to be that they're quite powerful and quite malicious. Again, I don't know if we can say that they're malicious because it could just be a completely different culture and maybe they're just a little bit stern, who knows, but they are said to be very powerful. That would make sense if they are in positions of power on Earth, such as being president or in the UN or an entertainer. One of the most common stories is that these reptilians actually live underground on Earth, and that they've lived here for a long, long time, kind of controlling what we do. Some people have actually said that they used to live on Earth before we did, but that the Anunnaki drove them underground and that's why they're there. But that sort of conflicts with the story of them being all-powerful. For example, some people say that they actually are in charge of the Greys, and the Greys are in charge of us. So, they're sort of the big boss of outer space, I suppose, or of our underground. Why they would want control of us, I don't know. There's a lot of differing stories, and I think a lot of them just veer on the edge of, well, they just want power because they want power, which to me doesn't seem like a good enough reason. Another, again, very famous alien race is the Nordics, or the Nordic Blondes. These are, in appearance, exactly, again, what they sound like. They look like Nordic people. They're tall, about 7 to 8 feet, sometimes. They are very blonde. Some people have also said that they glow, perhaps like angels. And a lot of people actually believe that these are what humans have perceived as angels, when in fact they're actually extraterrestrials. Furthermore, people actually believe that these are the race that were the ancient aliens, which we perceive to be gods. So they are the people that we worshipped way back when. There have also been modern accounts of people meeting these Nordic aliens, but unlike the Greys, these are never in abduction situations, these are just in encounters. I also think it's worth noting that in some religions, and that includes spiritual Satanism, which is one I can think of off the top of my head, people outright believe that these Nordics are the gods, and that through spiritual meditations and rituals they can actually contact these Nordics themselves. Also, unlike the Greys and the Reptilians, these are believed to be kind. They're said to want good things for humanity, but they also don't want to interfere too much with our endeavours. The next race is actually not very well known at all, but I think they're one of the most interesting. They're the Sassani, or sometimes called the Shikani, or even just the Blues. They're supposedly a hybrid race, a hybrid between the Greys and humans, which would actually fit into a lot of stories of humans being impregnated by Greys through abductions. So since these are hybrids, they do look like a hybrid. They look like a hybrid of humans and Greys. They have sort of bluish grey skin, big eyes, big heads, and they're quite small, but not quite as small as the Greys would have been. There's also a lot of rich, I'd say, I guess, culture to do with these. There's a huge amount of information that we have on them, unlike a lot of other species. We know that they had what they would now consider an ancient language, which was actually a mixture of a lot of Earth languages, which is what most of our languages are now anyway. But this was a much further on version. And that they, like the Greys, gave up language eventually for purely telepathic communication, which is how the Greys communicate. We also know that they live on a planet called Sassani, which is in the Orion constellation, about 500 light years away from Earth. But weirdly, if we were to suddenly teleport to Sassani right now, they would not be there. And this is because they're said to be living on a different timeline than us. So they're about somewhere between 300 and 700 years in the future from us, which isn't actually that much time. What I find really fascinating about this whole thing is that we actually know some phrases of their ancient language. I'm gonna have to read this now, so bear with me. So, supposedly, if you want to say "I love you" in their ancient language, you can say "ha'atu," which some linguists have suggested is a derivative from the French for "I love you." I don't know how true that is. I won't get too much more into these. I could go on for hours, but if you want me to do a full video on the Sassani, I definitely will. Just let me know in the comments. Next, similar to the reptilians, we have the amphibians, who are said to actually reside in Earth as well as on their own planet. But unlike the reptilians, they are fish people. So perhaps they were believed to be mermaids or mermen. Some people have also linked them to Atlantis, which would make a lot of sense, I suppose. Some people also believe that they used to be human, but they drowned with Atlantis and evolved to become amphibian creatures. We also have another race called the Greens, generally. Some people have started calling them Arcturians because of a movie or something like that, but they're not from the movie. The Greens are quite similar to Greys in appearance. Small, spindly, large heads, large eyes, but they're more of a green colour. They also have been said to reside underneath Europe in somewhere they call St. Martin's Land, which is a sort of cavernous area below European soil. But unlike the reptilians, who are said to also reside underground, there are no stories linking them to taking over the government or trying to get into power or control us from below ground. The next race I will briefly mention is the Pleiadians, who obviously come from Pleiades, which is a star cluster in the Milky Way. These look quite similar to humans actually, but they differ in that they are more psychically active. So they seem to understand different dimensional planes more than we do, and people actually claim that you can contact these yourself just by meditating on it and sending out a sort of psychic energy that you want to meet them or talk to them. They might not show up, but they'll probably get the message. There are a lot of races I could talk about, but I'm just going to mention one more because I don't want to overload you with information. But the next species that I'm going to talk about is the Yael. I'm probably butchering that name. And the reason I want to talk about these specifically is because a lot of extraterrestrial experts or theorists believe that these will be the race that will first disclose their existence to human beings on a mass scale, not just to a government or a power. These are the ones that everybody believes are going to show themselves and say, hey, we're here. Funnily enough, they're not believed to be very friendly, at least in what we would consider friendly, but they're said to have good intentions and to be very kind and to actually just want good things for our planet. People theorize that they're going to be the first to reach out to us because they have quite a balanced relationship with technology, unlike some other races. They've learned how to keep it safe, how to use it for peaceful means, and they believe that's something that we need to figure out before we blow ourselves up. Please. We need you. Thanks. They've also apparently been responsible for a lot of different UFO sightings, as if they're trying to show us that they're here without coming out and directly saying it. So one very big example of that is the Phoenix Lights sighting. I think that happened in 1997, as far as I remember. So they were apparently responsible for that and for a lot of other sightings. So this video has gone on for a long time now. I've listed a lot of different alien races to you, and there are more that I could mention, but I think that's going to do it for today, so I don't overload you. If you'd like me to make a part 2 and talk about the rest of them that I can find through research, then I will. Otherwise, I might just drop it. But I hope you found this really informative. I find it's really interesting learning about the different types of races and what they might want or do. Maybe they don't want anything to do with us at all, which is perfectly fine. I mean, we're not that great, in fairness. Anyway, I really enjoyed making this video, so do definitely let me know if you want a part 2 of that. And of course, if you liked the video, then do definitely subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notifications when I upload. And if you know somebody who's even at all interested in aliens, then send them this video so they can learn more about the races. That's gonna be it from me. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!